It's been 1 week, and we're so glad to be here, back, strong and better. Trust you enjoyed the last session. We are here again on the Unit Show, and today we are presenting something mind blowing, something that every young person out there needs to listen. And we are having one of the finest in Cross River State, one of the ecosystem builder in Cross River State, one of those men who had, built startups, businesses, entrepreneurs, and even leaders in the States. And it's a pleasure to have him in the house. Now, I would read his validated to you, but before then, I would want him to just say hi. I won't mention his name. You could just listen to his voice alone for now. Okay, so say hi to the people.
Good afternoon, Malabites and Malabresis.
Amazing. I'm sure you're beginning to guess who that voice could be. Yes, very soon you will get to know. Okay, now without keep you waiting because we have so much to discuss on today, and I want to introduce him before I introduce our topic. So we have in the house Mr. Patrick M. Indiford. I know that name is an household name. You must have heard of that name, and I'm sure you're excited. So, who is Patrick M. Indiford? Patrick Indiford stands at the forefront of entrepreneurial ecosystem development in Cross River State, blending his expertise as a product manager, tech entrepreneur, and a dedicated coach for startups and MSMEs. With a career defined by innovation and empowerment, Patrick has guided numerous MSMEs, startups, and nonprofits in crafting innovative products, building sustainable business models, and seamlessly integrating technology into their operations. As the founder and executive director of PFON organization, Patrick M. Indifon is a driving force in shaping entrepreneurial ecosystems within local communities, affecting Cross River State and beyond. Wherever you're hearing me from, could you just give a clap for Mr. Patrick Indifon? Yeah. A lot of the business you are seeing in Cross River State that are standing is as a result of the models that Mr. Patrick has provided. And I'm sure as we delve into our topic of discuss today, you will get to know more, you will get to hear the values that he possesses. So today we will be talking on a very crucial, important topic, cultivating a growth mindset. Cultivating a growth mindset. There's a stereotype about Crossivarian, that they are lazy, they don't thrive, they don't push, they're always negative, and a lot of things, and young people generally. So today we will be, diving on this topic, and thank God I have Mr. Patrick in the house who had, had a lot of interface with young people, and he has built a lot of brands. So he would help us to understand the kind of mindset, how to develop, or cultivate a growth mindset, even in an economy like ours that is unstable. Yes. So, Mr. Patrick, once again, can you just say hi to the people?
Good afternoon, Malabites. Good afternoon, Malabresis.
Wow, it's amazing, and we are so glad that you're here with us. So let's go straight to the point, sir. How do you explain growth mindset?
Okay, um, growth mindset. Mindset, okay, sees challenges differently. That mindset is open to learning. That mindset is humble yet confident. It's a mindset that is resilient persistent, mindset that never gives up, you know, a mindset that constantly evolves and gets better with time. So, uh, basically, what I've just explained are characteristics of someone who has a growth mindset.
Amazing, amazing. So that's lovely, and you know, Franklin D. Roosevelt said something. He said the only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubt today.
Okay.
So how does our doubt affect our growth mindset?
Well, when you say doubts, you have to look at doubts in specific contexts, right? Um, you can be skeptical about certain things, and it's not bad to be skeptical, particularly within the business space. You shouldn't be too trusting of ideas. You want to first doubt them, but take steps to, would I say, test those doubts or challenge those doubts, right? However, um, in terms of a growth mindset, you do not want to doubt your potential to become much more than you are now presently, right? Because what that does is, if you doubt, obviously you've lost belief in yourself, and if you've lost belief in yourself, you would not be able to push and take the necessary steps to become a better version of yourself. It's almost as if you're saying that you're signing yourself out from whatever potential growth. So within the mindset, which is a mindset that is open to growing, that's susceptible to grow, um, doubt isn't very, if that doubt is targeted at yourself, um, in terms of what you can do. Yeah, a lot of people do go through challenges where people say things at them and make them doubt themselves. Yes. So that not that is a problem. So you need to figure out how you can turn whatever people are saying into fuel for your growth rather than into fire for your own destruction, so to speak.
Amazing, amazing, sir. So now, a lot of our listeners want to really understand what growth means and what mindset, because I know that there are a lot of naive people who may, or people who are, the word is new. They
Okay.
must have been hearing about growth, but there are various concepts
Of
that
growth.
growth can be used. In chemistry, you hear of growth in in biology, you hear of growth in agriculture, you hear of growth. So, what's can you conceptualize
Okay.
this to
Growth
us? Yeah,
mindset. So
yes.
okay. So let's start with the word mindset, right? Your mind is set. So how is your mind set? How is your mind positioned? What is the perspective, or where's your stand, okay, on things? Now, if you're talking about growth mindset, so when it comes to growth, where do you stand? How do you see things? All right. Is your mind positioned for growth? Okay. If it's not, then you have what we call a fixed mindset, right? So, what is required for somebody to grow? What is the thinking required for somebody to grow? What are the actions required for somebody to grow? So we're talking about mindset, right? It has to do
Mm,
with perception. It has to do with the way you see things. It has to do with the way you think. All right. It has to do with your outlook on life. All those things are internal. All right. So if you have the state of mind that supports your ability to grow, then that's what you call a growth mindset.
amazing, amazing. Yeah, you mentioned fixed mindset.
Yeah.
So I think it's the right time for us now to talk about the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. What can you state them?
Well, so a fixed mindset is basically a mindset that is full of doubt, doubt in themselves. They are also It's also a mindset that constantly sees negativity in, in all their experiences. All right. A fixed mindset is not open to learning. A fixed mindset is is how would I put it, proud, arrogant. And arrogance can be good, but then there's a kind of arrogance that prevents someone from growing because they're not able to humble themselves to learn or go through the process. You know, a fixed mindset would give up easily, is not willing to, doesn't like hard stuff, doesn't like doing the hard things. They want the easy way out always. And it's not like having the easy way out is bad. I mean, if you can, if there's an easy way out, because yeah, you can take it, right? But not willing to do the work to get something done, you know, that's a fixed mindset.
Oh, amazing. You mentioned process.
Yeah, process.
So, how do you relate um, success and process? Because a lot of people, pay more attention to the result, the outcome, rather than the process. Why growing? So,
Yeah.
how do you correlate all of this together?
So in terms of the connection of process and success, as regarding growth, um, process is a very, very important factor in your journey of success. Success is a journey, it's not a destination, right? And for every person, there are levels of success, there are degrees of success. Um, Today you might want one car, tomorrow you're going to be owning a fleet of cars. Today you're a junior level designer, 5 years from now you're a senior level designer. Your levels of responsibilities increase over time. And one thing I found out about life is that the older you get, if you're someone that is responsible, the older you get, the in your early days will determine um, whether you'll be able to shoulder the larger responsibilities that come to you in life. All right. I remember when I used to sleep in an office, and I was trying to build my organization at the time. I My clothes were at the back, and I would close. So I was working with my uncle at the time, and I would shut down the office around 5. Everybody would go. I'll still stay back, sleep, and all of that. Even though it was an office, right, I could just leave it for the clean and everything. I still had to take responsibility of managing that space, ensuring that things were working properly, it was clean, it was tidy, and all those things. That was a very small space. Now I stay in an apartment, 3 bedroom apartment, and it's a much larger space for me to manage, obviously, but I have developed those principles of taking care of my environment. So even though I'm married, yes, I have a wife, and people say, okay, it's a woman's job to take care of the home. But over time, I've built the experience that if my wife has other things that she's doing, I am able to take care of the house because I have that, experience. I've gone through that process before of managing my own space properly. So a bigger space is not going to be an issue. And you can apply this to any other career or experience in life, right? If you go through the proper process of managing 10,000, 20,000 naira a month, if you start earning a million naira, you would be able to deploy those experiences to managing something as big as that. So process is very important. If you can't, let me just quickly add this, right? If you fail in if you're not faithful in the little things, you will not be faithful in the larger things, right? It's the same thing. You're wasting away 10,000. If you get a million naira, you're still going to waste it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amazing. Favor Igwe, you're welcome. Can you greet the audience?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay. Okay, just to let you know that Mr. Patrick Ndifon is it the manager for 3MTT?
Community
Community
manager.
manager for 3MTT in Cross River State. I know a lot of you out there have been looking forward to ask some questions about 3MTT and all of that. So you can call in why this show is going on, to discuss about our subject matter and moving forward to also ask your questions on 3MTT. So the call line is 0906 988 0789. 0906 988 0789. Do not forget, we are on the Your Lead Show, and our discussion today it surrounds cultivating growth mindset. We want to understand how, because there are a lot of distraction in the midst of young people, there are a lot of procrastination, there's a lot of inconsistency, there's lots of doubt and failures that young people do face. So people just feel that, oh, this thing, maybe it should just be luck. And we just mentioned that process is very keen and important on this journey. You know, this is a journey, and you must embrace the journey. You must embrace it and understand that it has a process. Okay, Mr. Patrick Ndifon, what role does our environment play in cultivating a growth mindset?
This question is a question that sparked a lot of debates, and why it has is because for people living in Calabar, a lot of times people leave the state and their biggest complaint is that there's nothing happening here. They're not inspired, you know, and those sort of things, right? Um, in my own personal opinion, I don't believe that you should allow your environment to, all right, so your environment can influence you, obviously. The people around you, the activities around you, they might not be inspiring. People might always have one or two negative things to say. The culture might work against the things that you're trying to achieve and all of that. But I mean, it's common everywhere, right? There's no place in the world where there isn't an environment where people don't go through challenges within the environment they're in. I think that's a normal travail or trial for every human being within every location. However, um, we're talking about having a growth mindset, right? People should take the responsibility to shape their environment, to create an environment that encourages them, that inspires them. Meaning, if there are no activities there, build the activities. All right.
Mm.
If you're not hearing positive stories, create the
Create
positive
the positive
stories,
story.
right? Create the positive vibes. Your environment is almost like I would say an inanimate object, right? It is shaped by the outputs of the people within that space. So yeah, and one person can actually have so much output that it completely changes the narrative
Mm.
in that environment.
Wow, amazing. So while you live in Cross River State, you don't allow maybe things that are not working to affect your growth mindset. Either you should grow in the environment and affect the environment with your growth.
Of course,
Like, okay, go ahead.
like I like to use myself as an example, right? Um, when I left, because I'm an alumni of Unical, right?
Amazing.
I did my BSc here. I was even served as a one-time president of University of the NACOS Computer Science Department.
Mm.
And when I went to do service, my plan was to leave and go to Lagos, become a full stack. But I had a passion to come help people here in Cross River State, especially connect with the tech space. And a lot of people throughout the years. So I've been running my organization since 2016. And throughout the years, I've had friends call me from Lagos, Abuja, and telling me, asking, what am I doing in Calabar? Why am I wasting time? There nothing's happening there. I'm wasting my talent and all of that stuff. And they couldn't see the things I was seeing, right? People are running away. I'm seeing agriculture, I'm seeing tourism, I'm seeing a startup environment that needs to be developed. I'm seeing how I can even monopolize this industry to my own advantage, right? So, and it took me 2-3 years to sort of like become I would say a top name when it comes to the tech ecosystem here,
Yeah.
right? And people keep asking, okay, how is it that you're here and you seem to be succeeding so well? And I'm here. Someone told me that they get so exhausted of Calabar that they need to go out like every month or so,
Months.
right? And I'm like, look, the way I see opportunities here is the way is different from how people see them, right? I see this place as a very huge opportunity for tech to happen,
Mm.
and I'm not just depending on this space alone for my sustenance. I'm also looking outside. I'm competing with the rest of the world, so that allows me to, leverage whatever I have with this space to build value for myself and then to build value for other people.
Wow, amazing. Before I call on Favor Igwe to ask a question, because I'm sure that before you got to this level, there were some limitations, a lot of limitation based on the environment. So, how has the environment, this ecosystem, affected you in your growth?
It hasn't affected me,
Okay.
um, because I didn't let it affect me. And this is what I mean, right? So some of the challenges I have faced challenges, and I'm still facing challenges even now, right? For me, one of the biggest challenges I have now is power. Okay, electricity is a very big problem, and I have such high demand for electricity. So currently, right now, my gen at home which runs to almost 24 hours. I remember I had my gen had not twice in a week. You get because of overuse, So that's a big challenge. The other challenge too is also with young people. I have faced a lot of challenges with young people. Their the inability to commit to one thing and get it done. A lot of them are distracted, and some of them too are also like confused, trying to figure out which path to go and all of that. And then there's that culture of people not valuing paid opportunities, right? A lot of people like free things. So those are the challenges I face. But what I have learned is, instead of letting that allow me affect how I do things, rather I have sort of like adapted to enable me grow, in a way that best fits this environment, right?
Amazing.
So with the young people, I've learned to be more inspiring, all right. And through that inspiration, I've gotten several of them to be able to start having value for paid opportunities, right? Secondly, in terms of my approach to financial sustenance, for example, I don't put my eggs in the Calabar basket. So what are the jobs I do? If I do anything here, any project or job here, it's usually at a very substantial or free rate. Most of my sources of income comes from places like Lagos, Abuja, and those kind of places, right? So while for me, Cross River State is like mission ground, right? Everywhere else is where I can pull money from. So that way, I've adapted to this particular environment, right? I haven't allowed it to discourage me or make me say, "Oh, I'm leaving," rather, but I found a way to leverage it. What most people don't know is that the work I do at Siphon is actually it's non-profit, it's free, right? I've helped a lot of people, and however, it has allowed me to position myself in such a way that I'm able to attract better opportunities from outside.
Oh, wow, wonderful. Yeah. When I came into Cross River States, at first I was like, what's happening? Yeah, I was like, what the hell is happening? But the truth is, I found my path in Cross River State. Yes, and I'm still thriving in Cross River State. My mindset changed in Cross River State. Just like you mentioned, it's like a mission ground. It's a place of discovery.
Yeah,
When you come to Cross River State as a young person, you should be able to find a pathway because there are problems everywhere that need solutions.
of course.
And it's in the process of taking those responsibilities to solve them that you become great. And that is what you've done, sir. So thank you so much. Favor, over to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
That's in favor.
So, my question is this: talking about the environment and how you've been able to get past the challenges you face, how can one self engineer himself or herself to understand the environment and how to go through it? So, you mentioned in the course of discussion that while you're based in Calabar, in Cross River State, you still get jobs from other states. And in short, the work you do here has been a major way to sell yourself out
Yeah.
as an authority that you are. So, for people that are yet to understand the benefits of the tech space, what would you say to them?
Okay. So that's a really good question, and I really like the fact you talked about self engineering, right? Um, so I just try to connect the opportunities in the tech space and how you can self engineer yourself to take advantage of being in Cross River State. So technology by itself, right, is a disruptor in the sense that it allows you to do it breaks barriers, so to speak. Um, you can be and work for anybody across the world. All right. We now have AI that's making things a whole lot easier for people. I use AI a lot, you know, writing, strategy, all of that stuff. And ChatGPT 3.5 is free. You know, um, technology has it's able to apply itself to literally any industry, any field, and any task. All right. But what hinders people from leveraging technology is one, their openness to it. I find that a lot of people argue with technology a lot. I'm like, don't waste your time.
Especially the AI. A lot of people say the AI is taking away your creativity. Okay, the other day I had a conversation with someone and she made a statement. She said, I built this idea from scratch to finish without the use of an AI. And I said, it does not make you smarter.
At all.
She literally blocked me. She no longer talked to me. But I was being honest.
Yeah.
These things are there to help you. Why not take advantage of them? It does not make you smarter. In short, you're if okay. Okay.
No, you're precisely you're very precise. You're correct. AI was created by humans to make things better for them.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying the guy that uses his hand to pluck grass and the person that uses the hoe, or the guy that uses the hand is more hardworking.
More intelligent.
It doesn't make sense, right? Those tools are meant to make you better, you know. And for us here in Cross River State, Cross River State is what they call a secondary city. So I want to be careful what I say so that it doesn't seem as if I'm trying to run down the state, right?
Yeah.
We're what they call, or what experts within ecosystem building call, a secondary city. We're not a primary city like Lagos or Abuja, right? We're a secondary city. Okay. So cities like Lagos and Abuja are cosmopolitan cities, you know, and they are far advanced than cities like Calabar, and even Uyo and some other cities across Nigeria, right? So there's still a lot of growth potential in places like Calabar and places like Cross River State. Now, technology is what they call, or gives what they call, a leapfrogging advantage if you know how to use it well. And if we young people begin to, right, one, leapfrog the economy of the state from where it is now to something far more greater. That's one. Two, we can also, and if you think about it this way, right, if we take technology and think about it this way, in the sense that instead of just building for the Cross River market, because our population is just 3 point something million, right? We're very small compared to Lagos. Okay. Instead of building for Cross River, we say, look, let's find solutions, let's find problems in Cross River that happen in Lagos. Let's find problems in Cross River that happen in Abuja, and happen in the US, in the UK, and all of that. And then design solutions using the resources we have, pilot test them here in Cross River State, scale them to the rest of the world. We not only expand our individual opportunities for growth, because we're no longer just limited to a small market. We're building for the rest of the world, and you know what it means to build for the rest of the world, right?
Yeah.
Market is large enough.
Market is large enough. You're making more money and those kinds of things. And we have. I worked in an NGO that did agriculture and stuff like that, right? When it comes to agriculture, we're topping the charts.
I attended a conference where you were a speaker and I got this statement from you. So you always say you build from Cross River to the world, like
Yeah.
for the whole world. And it made me change the perception of I'm a Cross Riverian, but sometimes I find myself honestly, that was then though, being pained. Honestly, I was like, of all states, why Cross River? Hello, Dad. This is being honest, and that's because I saw it as a lot of people say it's not a border state, nobody's passing through here. But I was opportune to travel to. I hate traveling for the record, but I was opportune to travel to Ogoja, and God, I think my eyes saw enough.
Yeah.
Ecom is doing so well. Ogoja is the environment is not the problem. Mindset.
The
is.
mindset.
Precisely.
Because there's so much potential in this. You're bringing it back home, but if you're not looking for solutions, even when they are scattered everywhere, you won't find.
Yeah.
So that's where the problem is. That's why we are discussing growth
Mm.
mindset. So we have a ready mind, a ready people, so that when these problems come up, you're not seeing it for being problems, but as opportunities to create solutions and thereby enrich yourself while impacting others.
Amazing. I love that.
So how? What are the things that young people out there can do to develop, a growth mindset for themselves, especially in the Cross River State ecosystem?
Ah, man. So let me first do a TLDR, right? And
Okay.
then I'll probably expand on that, right? So developing a growth mindset is like waking up in the morning, right? And then pouring chilled cold water on your face, all right? And telling yourself that I don't care about my mistakes of yesterday.
Amazing.
I don't care about the challenges I have. Okay. I don't care about, what environment is telling me negatively. This goal, I'm going to achieve it.
Mm.
And, you know, getting rid of all the things that will hinder you and just going ahead to achieve that goal. A friend of mine was telling me, I was having a conversation with him, he was like, yeah. Uh, so he was saying, he shows up sick, he shows up broke, he shows up tired, he shows up depressed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whatever the case is, he always shows up.
Mm.
And that's pretty much it, right? We're not perfect people. I think some people get caught up on trying to be perfect. For me, I used to procrastinate a lot. I think I still do, even though I have like 1,001 things to do. I still feel that I procrastinate a lot. I also feel that I'm never doing enough work. Um, I remember when before I even got my first proper employment, right? I was always so busy, but I still felt like I wasn't doing enough. I think that in general, you know, first things first, there should be a vision that you have that is beyond yourself, right?
Okay.
That's the most important thing for having a growth mindset. Because if you're living for yourself, I think that's the lowest level to live.
Mhm.
That's my own opinion, but I bet if you ask 1,000 billionaires and millionaires and people that matter, they'll tell you
I don't even think so, because if they were living for themselves,
they would never.
the
Yeah,
money they've gotten should be enough. But
I'm
they keep
telling
on
you.
creating jobs by the things they do and affecting other lives.
Exactly. Because once you're living for a vision bigger than yourself, you would never be satisfied with just getting the barest minimum. You would always want to push more.
Mhm.
You would always want to do better. You want to learn better because you want to solve the solution better. Problems become a burden to you,
Yeah.
right? And then there's the other thing too, right? There's a hunger for learning. So young people, yeah, a lot of times when I age TikTok and all these things, they zap your attention a lot. I'm not really against TikTok and Instagram because I use those platforms too, but guess how I use them? I'm on TikTok to learn things faster. All right. So I can go and learn how to do a logo in like, watch a TikTok video that's 30 seconds and I can pick out how I can do a logo there because I learn with images very well. I like looking at
Oh,
images,
you're the visual type.
but I also read a lot. That doesn't, so I try not to give an excuse for
Yeah.
visual type and all those kind of things.
Okay.
I can read in a month over 200 articles, right? But then I would also like substantiate that learning by going on TikTok, going on YouTube, going through videos just to reinforce what I've learned, to pick up information and all this kind of thing. Because there's a lot of information and there's very little time. You understand? So you want to be able to keep learning and keep going. So people can, young people should take those approaches to learning. And then another thing too is commit to whatever you're doing. I think commitment is lacking in a lot of young people. People they divide their attention amongst within too many things, which again is not bad, right? It's not bad because this is how I see focus or multitasking. If you're going to do something, you want to do five things. Elon Musk does this. He has three companies, right? Mondays are for Teslas, Tuesdays are for SpaceX, then this is Twitter, stuff like that, right? Because on those days, he wants to keep his focus on that particular thing. You get.
Amazing.
So even if you're multitasking, you have multiple goals, multiple pursuits and everything, decide the days you want to focus on or decide how many hours you want to give to something per day and commit to those hours. All right. It does something to your brain. It helps you grow better, grow faster. All right. And then lastly, there are three principles I always say matter in life, like please, sorry, and thank you. But you can't say those things if you're not a humble person, because being humble means that you're open to learning, you're open to corrections, you're open to feedback, and all those kind of things. Without those things, you can't grow. So you should be able to say please to ask for help. You should be sorry when you make mistakes, and you say thank you when somebody does something good for you.
Favor, your lips are.
Okay. I want to talk about the perfectionist thing,
Okay.
because a lot of people hide under the perfectionist person
Yeah.
to be chronic procrastinators. So
YouTube is on. You're raising up your head.
okay, so you are a perfectionist and you have not done anything perfectly. Oshé, you're doing very well. So you're a
Yeah.
perfectionist and nothing that you've done is actually
It's actually
working.
working.
So all the time you took trying to plan this thing, this was your best, this is your perfect. Are you serious? So at the end of the day, it's how much work we do in building ourselves that determine the
Okay.
quality of our results.
Of course.
Because in doing, you get more clarity. When I started my first business, I did rubbish. And what I had in my mind was not what played out after my months of plan. Like when I came out and all energized, I didn't see what was coming. When what was coming met with me, I wasn't ready. But it's easy because I failed then and I have the opportunity to know that this way I had very bad customer service.
I'm glad that you
I
learned.
don't like going out. So you've placed an order, and if I cannot find a rider, I cannot leave my house. So I had to close because I had to deal with that first. If there's anything I find very difficult is leaving my house. I want to do everything inside. So that was one thing that did me dirty. And imagine that I was being a perfectionist and waiting to have everything figured out before I start. How would I have known that this very attitude of mine is going to cost me something in my business? Enough to know that when I'm building the next one, I should take corrections for this thing. So the idea is that you fail fast and learn fast. So instead of waiting for perfect actions, do what you can do at the time and move forward. Clarity will come while you do the things that you're doing, and then you get better. That's where growth is, in doing the little things that matter consistently.
If you don't mind, if I'd like to color what you just said a little bit to create some kind of balance, because it's important, okay, to be a good planner. All right, that's very critical. And I'm saying this because if you, I'm coming from a startup background too as well. If you look at Nigeria, you realize that in the last 3 5 years, you see a lot of startups failing.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, um, now that is actually an absence of a perfectionist attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's because people have also taken the fail fast thing the wrong way.
Personal.
Yeah. So it's now fail fast without guardrails, right? You don't put your kid on a bicycle, a 3-year-old kid on a bicycle, and then put him down a slope. You don't do that, right? And
Definitely.
do you understand?
Yeah.
Right? Careful not to get lost in the thing. Okay. So this is how I put it. Whatever idea you have, break it down into the smallest part. Plan around that small part. Because now, if you're dealing with something that's small, right, your planning doesn't become excessive. Because
That's
you're
true.
planning around a minute
Minute,
situation. Do you understand? So you plan around that small part, and then you try it out. So in product management, it's called product experimentation, right? So you plan a little, you test, you go back, learn, take lessons from your testing, release again. You keep doing that iteratively. So if you're trying to apply it to your business, for example, so I would first, test out an aspect of your business, bam, and see how it goes. I won't put too much capital or make a plan and those kind of things. During the phase, I'll now learn, oh, I'm terrible at this thing, right? And my business is still running, no doubt, but I would have put measures to figure out, okay, what are the issues that are happening and all of that. I learned this. Okay, I'll design around a plan around that
That's
weakness. Do you understand? So that the business, I don't need to stop the business. I now need to realize a weakness. Okay. Because I'm sure you're doing the business fine, right? It's just that customer service. So you now design a plan around that, right? That way you are growing without stopping.
Amazing. Amazing. Wow. I could remember in 2020 when I first did my first community project. That moment, that was during the COVID-19. I got home, I was like, oh, my people are old and they need to be sensitized about COVID-19. But that wasn't the big picture then. The picture was, let me use my church children to go and do a campaign because it was close to Children's Day. So I was like, okay, let me just package the children, give them hand sanitizer, they'll go into the community and just share flyers to the people. And in the process, I'm just trying to sum up what you said, that you should break down the idea into smaller,
Yeah.
particles, and it will make a lot of sense. So in the process of planning the campaign for the children, it dawned on me that this could be community project. This could be community project, and immediately I changed the plan from just children campaign to a community project. And at the end of the day, all the key stakeholders in my community got involved. Guess the budget for the first one I wanted to do 50,000. But now I'm here using 500,000 naira to run the project. So it's very important because young people, they just want to do it big, 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 big at all point in time, and they end up getting exhausted in the process.
Losing the thrill of the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
I used to just remember this, if
Yeah.
it's okay for me to share. I used to remember praying and asking God, please help me start ideas small, because it was a really, my organization, I had budgeted like 200 300K to start it, and I just left service. I had saved about 200, but I now went and bought a fake phone, so that was like 150K gone the drain, and I just had 50K left. And I was trying to figure out how was I going to start this thing. And I started asking myself, okay, how do you break this down? What's the smallest way to start? What's the smallest way to start? What's the smallest way? I kept asking myself. I still ask myself to date, right? How do I start this thing small? And I had the idea to create a WhatsApp group. I created a WhatsApp group, added everybody on my contact list. People left, but people stayed. You get, so those that stayed, I remember I would post articles daily, trying to engage, and craft discussions. Now I can be away 1 week. The community is happening.
It's happening.
Right?
Yeah.
We've become an organization. We've helped raise funding, all those kinds of things. Something that started as a WhatsApp.
Amazing.
But I didn't, again, to also say that when I started that WhatsApp group, I had a plan. I had a clear plan on what it was going to do. And then as I started it, I started learning. Because obviously the plan, no matter how perfect you are, when you plan, they say when a business plan, no business plan ever survives first contact with customers, right? Once the business plan hits the road, it will spoil. It will spoil. So, but at least it gives you some kind of guidance onto where you're going.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that you adjust, you take your failure, like you said, that at that point you now fail fast, learn and adapt very quickly.
Very quickly. Amazing. Oh, hope you're enjoying yourself out there. This is 103.5 FM on the Elite Show, and we are here with Mr. Patrick Mdifon, the mighty man you've been hearing, in Cross River States. He's a builder, he's an ecosystem builder, he's an entrepreneur, and he's a coach. And he's the community manager of 3MTT. I'm emphasizing on this because I know you need help. Okay, you can reach out on 0906 988 0789. 0906 988 0789. So, Mr. Patrick, before we go, what role does perseverance and resilience play in developing our growth?
role that perseverance and resilience plays
Yes.
is like, uh, it's like not having yeast in something you're baking, right? Like bread or stuff. It won't rise. You get. I believe I'm correct with that analogy.
Yeah.
Or you bake. I'm gonna have a baker. So the thing is, you go to the gym, you have to pull. The reason you build muscles is because you're fighting against resilience. If you pull the weight the first time and drop it, no muscle for you. Sorry, right? So that is perseverance. That is resistance, right? Throughout the struggle, throughout the challenge, it strengthens, I would say, your growth muscles. Um, it increases your ability to deal with that pressure. They say that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that's in the sense that, look, if you can survive this thing, you're going to be better off. Okay, so if you can go through this challenge, if you don't back out of this thing, there are things you're going to learn. There are things that you have an amazing advantage going forward, right? So I remember I was somewhere and we were all selected for this particular conversation, and you know, the people that were selected, a lot of them did not have the kind of experience I had, right? I had been doing this particular, I'm using that context so that I don't mention. So I had been doing this particular thing for years. It's been my life's work, so to speak. And then we're in this gathering for this particular role, and I'm like you guys are looking at, I've already been doing this thing for years, right? It was just, they were lost, they were surprised, they didn't know what was happening in their own environment and all things. But I was like, no, I know what's happening. Before this thing even came up, I'm the one that took it and spread it across the people and all of that. So it now put me in a position of authority because I already had that experience before. And that's the thing that resilience and perseverance does. You have what I say, special traits or abilities about you that is unique to you or very few persons that have gone through that process that now gives you an advantage. Like, let me use Favor. Yes, for example, right? Favor's experience in building her business gives her that many others don't have. So she can tell somebody, look, you're building a business, focus on customer service. This is what killed my business. This is why I didn't do anything. And then that person can take that lesson and they don't have to repeat that process again. Right. And then she also has the added advantage. By the time she does 2 or 3 more businesses, she'll be better off because she now knows what she's not good at, what she needs to do to cover up that weakness and all of that.
Amazing, Favor. I'm sure you have. Yeah, because when it comes to resilience and perseverance, you have a lot to talk about. Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, so Mr. Patrick has said a lot about resilience and perseverance, and he said, without these things, you cannot even say you have grown because these are the things that will test what you claim to have built over the years. So you're good at marketing. If you are put in a tight corner, okay, maybe let me say what you've been doing all this while is just copy from someone without even making edits. If this person should be taken out of the picture, would you survive it? So this is what perseverance will do to you. It's going to make sure that it has permit me to make reference to the Bible. So it's to say that the working of your faith is made effective through everything you go through. That's paraphrase. So that means even in our walk with God, everything that comes to us is not meant to break us, but to build us into the people that we ought to be. And this is just the job description of perseverance and resistance.
she used the term job description. Okay, yeah, it's you just have to keep enduring. You have to be, you have to persevere.
Okay, so I forgot to add this wise. Know when to call some things off.
Oh yeah.
Like, because sometimes some people feel every pain that comes is from God. Sometimes the devil is in the detail you don't pay attention to. So you're feeling that this process is trying to build you, you're persevering. That's why some people say the fact that you're going through hard times does not mean that you'll be rich or God is not preparing you for anything. So if you're going through this, imagine that I failed without coming out with a lesson. That's why Mr. Patrick said the perfectionist trait has its place, but the place of the perfectionist or the traits only come when you're able to pick the lessons from your mistakes and keep moving with them. So it's not every time that, sometimes you just have to check, what am I not doing right? So you are not persevering with something that is not going
It's
to
not
get
going
you
to get,
results.
yeah,
Even if,
Exactly.
because if you're consistently doing the wrong thing, you will consistently get the wrong
the wrong
results.
results.
And if you're consistently doing the right thing, that's where growth happens. So know when to call some things off, so you don't spend years doing the same thing wrongly, when a simple question of what can I do differently would have solved the problem.
Okay.
I know, just quick chipping, because what she said made me remember something very critical, very critical. And me and my wife we talk about this a lot, right? And it's I believe very strongly it's a reason why a lot of people do not grow, do not get better, and why sometimes we see some of the things we happen in society. It is an absence of reflection.
Reflection.
So what she has just mentioned, right? You will not know what you're doing right if you do not take the time to reflect on how you're thinking, to reflect on the challenge you're going through this and all of that. Reflection is very important. I told my wife this, I said, the reason people don't have reflection, this is how it shows itself. I enter into a cab, the cab guy gets a lady twice my size to fit in with 3 other people at the back seat. He's not aware that his actions is hampering others. All right.
Yeah.
And he carries that attitude to other places and other things. He lives in a house with someone, or a lady lives in a house with someone, and everywhere is messed up, right? But there are other people there who are having to do those things. They don't get better. You understand? Those people do not grow. Why? Because they're not reflecting on their character, their attitude, their behavior, how it affects everyone around them, how it affects their businesses, how it affects themselves even. So they might be going through something, and is what they call is bad character that's making them go through that thing.
It's not
Wow.
village people, it's
It's
bad
that
character.
character. Yeah, there was a time where for a whole week my decisions were very poor. I was making stupid decisions. And you know what? I just had to fall back. I said, what is happening? What changed? And I realized I stopped praying.
That's even a very more profound thing. How about the time I noticed that there are certain seasons of my life where I should relate less with people. I can avoid conflict all through the month, and at certain point of the month, if you do anything, I'm going to follow you back to back. So I discovered that every month I have problem with somebody. Like every month, there's no month that goes past without this thing happening. And sometimes it costs me a lot, because these are things that when I'm back to my normal stuff, I'm like, Favor, these are not your values. These are things that you could look past. It's not enough reason for someone to hear your voice. It's really not. But I cannot change it. I've done it. And nobody's going to hear that it's because this was the season of my life. I don't even need to say that to anybody.
Yeah.
But I had to sit down. I wasn't comfortable with these things. I wasn't comfortable that around certain times of my life I get to blame myself for actions that I would have prevented. So I reflected, I found this out, and in those seasons of my life, you hear I no go answer you. Just do that. If I answer you at that point.
All right, so just to wrap up, someone defined growth mindset using 3 words: BAG, bag. And he said B is belief, A is action, and G is growth. So, based on this person's view, she believes that once you talked about vision, once you have a vision, you should believe in it, and you shouldn't just believe. You take actions, and when you take action, growth will come.
Yeah.
So, I want you to explain more and just like an overview of everything we said and how, like, you're crowning everything up because we almost
2 minutes.
yes, 2 minutes away. And the advice you can give to those people out there, those young people who want to come into tech, who want to develop, a good mindset that will expand their lives.
Okay, so you should believe in your vision more than anybody else. When I tell people that Cross River has the potential to be to export innovation to the world, I don't think anybody believes that more than me, right? Well, you can challenge me to the belief, but I, 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 I am more consumed with that vision than anybody else. And I always tell people about it. Look, forget what they're saying about Crush River. This is what's going to happen. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. So you need to be more consumed with your vision than anybody else. When you do that, there's something it does to your brain, right? It propels you to take actions to the point that you can do crazy and ridiculous things. It makes you a step ahead, way ahead of your peers,
Yeah.
and even the space in general, because you're always seeing the future, right? And you're trying to get there as fast as possible beyond everyone else, and that ultimately leads to your growth. Those
Amazing.
actions you take based on that belief, it forces you. So it's like the growth now becomes this eruptive and disruptive. Uh-huh.
Amazing. So, what's the advice to the people, to young people there? What do they need to do immediately to start cultivating? You know.
Learn.
All right. Thank you so much, listeners. We are wrapping up this show for today, and I trust you had a wonderful, thought-provoking moment today. We have in the studio Mr. Patrick and Lifon. And we're so happy to have him. And we're looking forward to hosting more and more on the Elite Show. And I have my co-host,
Favor Igwe.
Favor Igwe. It's nice having you. My name is Dumbari Lives today, and I'm looking forward to meet you next week, Tuesday, same time, same station, as we come up with something more mind blowing. Thank you so much, and do have a wonderful afternoon. Bye.